The final one, we had decided that Mufasa, more important than being a king, more important than being a king, which meant I had to act grand and important.
James Earl Jones, with a career spanning nearly 6 decades, will forever be remembered for the power and resonance of his voice, a deep, rolling contrabass that has captivated audiences worldwide. Described by some as the voice Moses heard when addressed by God, Jones' vocal presence was nothing short of iconic. He gave life to some of the most memorable characters in cinematic history, including the menacing Darth Vader in the original Star Wars trilogy, where he commanded the full might of the mythical force using only his voice. More recently, his unmistakable baritone became synonymous with the famous tagline, "This is CNN," lending authority and gravitas to the U.S. news channel. Born on January 17, 1931, in Arkabutla, Mississippi, James Earl Jones grew up in a complex household of African American, Native American, and Irish descent. His early life was marked by hardship, and the family struggles profoundly shaped him. His father, Robert Earl Jones, abandoned the family shortly after James' birth, leaving him in a household crowded with 13 people. To alleviate some of the burden, young James was sent to live with his grandmother in Memphis, Tennessee, but the separation from his family left him deeply traumatized. He clung desperately to the car when they dropped him off, a poignant display of a child's yearning to stay with those he loved. "It was the only way I could express that I wanted to be with them," he recalled later. This experience would leave a lasting mark on his psyche and speech. The emotional toll of this separation contributed to a stammer so severe that Jones was virtually mute for several years of his youth. For a significant period, he communicated only through writing, too afraid to speak. Ironically, it was this very speech impediment that eventually guided him toward acting, and it gave him a profound appreciation for the spoken word, a craft he would later master with world-renowned expertise. Jones' journey to overcome his speech impediment began in high school when a compassionate teacher discovered his talent for writing poetry. Recognizing Jones' potential, the teacher encouraged him to read his poems aloud to the class. To everyone's surprise, Jones found that his stammer lessened when he recited words from memory. With this newfound confidence, he began participating in debates and public speaking competitions, gradually reclaiming his voice. After graduating from high school, Jones enrolled at the University of Michigan, where he initially studied to become a doctor. However, his passion for the arts proved too strong, and he was drawn toward the stage. During his time in college, Jones developed a love for theater, which blossomed after he completed his military service. After serving in the U.S. Army during the Korean War, he moved to New York City to pursue his dream of acting. Though it was not an easy road, Jones was determined to make his mark in the world of drama. Interestingly, when he first arrived in New York, Jones moved in with his estranged father, Robert Earl Jones, who had also pursued acting earlier in life. However, this living arrangement was born out of practicality rather than a desire for reconciliation. It was too late to get to know him as a father, Jones reflected. If you don't learn that from the beginning, there's no way to catch up. Despite the strained relationship, Robert supported his son's ambition with a vital piece of advice. "I can't make a living doing this," he told James. "So if you want to enter this world, do it because you love it." This advice resonated with the young actor and became a guiding principle in his career. Jones' early acting career was shaped by the changing dynamics of New York theater. He arrived at a time when the theater was opening its doors to more diverse voices, no longer confined to the white, middle-class image it had once portrayed. Despite the struggles black actors faced in securing roles, Jones began to make a name for himself, taking on challenging and provocative roles on Broadway. He performed in Joan Jennett's The Blacks, a play in which black actors wore white makeup to subvert colonialist stereotypes, a cutting-edge statement at the time. Jones' reputation as a stage actor grew as he took on iconic roles across various genres, including Shakespearean dramas. He portrayed not only the expected Othello, but also ventured into other Shakespearean characters, such as King Lear, Oberon in A Midsummer Night's Dream, and Claudius in Hamlet. His versatility and presence made him a sought-after actor, and his commanding voice became his signature. In addition to Shakespeare, Jones performed in modern and experimental plays that pushed the boundaries of theater. He appeared in Eugene O'Neill's The Iceman Cometh, John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men, and an all-black production of Tennessee Williams' Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. This role also catapulted Jones into the world of film, and he reprised his portrayal of Jack Johnson in the movie adaptation of The Great White Hope. For this performance, Jones earned an Academy Award nomination, making him only the second African-American actor to receive such an honor, following Sidney Poitier. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Jones continued to work in both film and theater, becoming one of the most respected actors of his generation. Yet, despite his considerable accomplishments on stage, it was his voice work that would introduce him to an entirely new audience. In 1977, he voiced the villainous Darth Vader in George Lucas' Star Wars, a role that would become one of the most iconic in cinematic history. Although physically portrayed by David Prowse, it was Jones' rich, resonant voice that gave Vader his unforgettable presence. Despite initially feeling conflicted about accepting a voice-only role, Jones ultimately embraced the part, which would secure his place in pop culture history.